All these guys certified. I'm in Houston with my kind. You got walk, you know I want it. Sip every line till I'm fried. Having back-to-back shows. So many racks on me right now. Still fuck with them basic hoes. Matter of fact, I'm with one on right now. Say these bitches freaking and she's some streets.
Hey Tyler, how
Hey
are you?
Tyler.
Got me?
Yeah,
Yep,
we
we
got you.
got you now.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. How
How you
about
doing?
yourself?
Doing good. It's chilling. Snowing out in Rhode Island like usual. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, we
cold.
just had the snow last 2 weeks ago
Yeah, we're
actually.
down in deep South Georgia. So
Yeah.
we got
It's
about
snowing?
it snowed about 5 or 6 inches here.
Really?
We about lost our minds. We were
Yeah, it doesn't happen about once in a blue moon around here. That's a real
Yeah,
uncommon.
I remember when it snowed in North Carolina early this year and like I couldn't get a hold of nobody. Like the whole state shut down. It's like 2 inches
really
of snow. Crazy.
ours thankfully we were still able to function and everything around. I mean, they just salted the roads highly. So
Ice
Yeah.
was probably the main problem.
Yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna get started here. What really got you into racing?
Well, I mean, my story's a little weird. I always tell people, I have no racing background in terms of like my family comes from no racing, nothing. So, I mean, when I was like, I'll just use years because I don't remember my age, but somewhere like in the middle of 2016-ish, I started getting into cars, just, like street cars and all
Right.
that, all that basic stuff. But then my dad said, "Oh, there's this track down the road from us, like 30 minutes from us, that has like race car stuff." And I didn't know what it was, but I just went and they were having like a big tour race or whatever, late model tour, and it was a disaster, but it made me fall in love with this. People wrecking each other, fighting. I was like, yeah, this seems fun. But
Yeah.
somebody told us that, hey, kids can get into this, with these small cars. And then I didn't think much of it. And then I think for like around Marchish, maybe more like February. My dad's like, "Oh, remember that stuff going down at the track's name was Seekonk. You remember at Seekonk, they got those kids can get into it." He's like, "Well, I got you a bandolier. You're going racing." And
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
I knew nothing about racing. All I knew was that I watched it once, but I didn't know I didn't even know what a yellow flag was. Like that's
Oh
how much.
wow.
But then I got into it, and well, obviously, once my dad told me I was going to do it, I mean, I watched a lot of videos to make sure I had an idea what I was doing, and I fell in love with it pretty quick. Finished third in my second race, and then won in my fourth race, and got second in points that year. I mean, it's
Oh
just
wow.
endo, but for like what it's worth, no experience. I mean,
That was
should have,
real good.
yeah. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah. So my dad, I used to race dirt go-karts before I had to step away from it with me about to graduate from high school and everything. So my dad, he used to race dirt go-karts and it really just trickled into me racing them as well. And then of course I had to step away and I was like, I want to stay involved in racing. So let's start a racing media business. Let's
Yes.
find something so that way I can stay interactive with everyone that I'm friends with and all that and still talk to them. So
Yeah, we all kind of come from the same thing. Like me, I didn't start out in dirt go karts. I was pavement. I did a lot of road course racing. So my background for some people is a lot different. But in the end, it's still racing. So while one person might race dirt most of theirs, and I've done a lot of road courses and stuff,
Yeah.
you still have the same fundamentals, and you want to learn the same techniques and stuff. And like I said, I've been able to teach him some things I learned from doing the road courses, and he was able to translate it to me with the dirt, and so it all kind of works out there.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
You've also been in multiple cars and everything with the trucks, and this year going to Xfinity and everything. So, what's the learning curve kind of been like getting in and out of the different cars?
Well, yeah, I mean I made a quick jump in terms of this time last year, this time last year, January of last year, my plan was for the season to just run my weekly late model racing at Waterford Speed Bowl, just those 35 lap races, and then a year later, look where I am now. It came out of nowhere. But I mean, yeah, I went from doing those weekly shows that are like little sprints to my first national series start. I did my ARCA debut and my truck debut in the same day. So
Oh wow.
I went from nothing to like the most you could possibly do in one day, 400 laps, finished both races, stayed out of trouble. Um, I think the ARCA and the trucks are pretty similar. I mean, I don't know. It's funny how like you go to that level and you think it's going to be this big learning curve, and it is, but it isn't. Now, Lucas Oil is like a track that I've driven on like a million times. Not that specific track, but I've driven on a half mile a million times. So that isn't anything like insane, and the truck kind of drove like a pro late model. So it wasn't that big of a learning curve, more of just how long the race was. I mean,
Right.
physically handle 400 laps in one day. I mean, that's, like I said, for someone myself who kind of just jumped into it, that's a lot. And just how to maintain tires because, them 35 lappers, you just go for it. There's none of that riding or nothing. But luckily, the ARCA race really helped me. And I think if it wasn't for the ARCA race, I think I would have struggled a little more with the truck. But the ARCA practice and ARCA race, by the time it came the truck race, I mean, I didn't think twice about it because I was just in the car for 2 hours. So helped a
It just
lot.
felt natural moving from one
Yeah,
car to the other.
yeah, no, I've done double duty before at my local short track, like with like small divisions, obviously, and it's always helped me. I don't know, something about having two races in one day, it takes the pressure off because it's kind of like, well, this goes wrong, I got another one coming up in an hour. So it always kind of made things more relaxed, even though it might be different for some other people.
Right. So, I mean, like you say, there would, I mean, obviously there's the physical differences to the cars, but from your perspective, they're very similar, which is, I mean, that really helps whenever you go from a ARCA car to a truck in the same day and
Yeah,
just adapting to it and running that amount of laps, building the endurance
yeah,
You
and
yeah.
got to
everything.
think
Because,
about it now. Say, I guess 5 years ago, y'all would have had a lot more practice than you did, and it was kind of like a jump into the deep end. I think now for some tracks, it's most of them it's like 20, 30 minutes. So you got to you don't have a lot of time to get out there and get a feel. You really just got to experiment. You just got to go full out for that full session, and you just kind of pick up what you learn in it, and it has to translate it to the race.
Yeah, so definitely. So if you can, as much as double duty is a lot on your body and might like physically make you, a little tired for the next one, it helps so much. Like, the little, I mean, I'll be honest, you don't learn nothing in 15 minutes, to be 100% honest. It's, kind of just making sure the truck actually runs and drives halfway decent and go learn in the race. So the ARCA car helped definitely.
right, which obviously you have the deal with running for MVM and Xfinity this year. I think, if I remember correctly, you said Bristol and Martinsville.
In Nashville.
And yeah, Nashville. Oh,
Nashville's for the truck.
Okay.
Nashville's for truck.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and so hopefully, I mean, we can see you perform very well up there in that as well. So
Kind of in your wheelhouse a little bit, tracks you're similar with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I mean, just like Lucas Oil, I feel like Martinsville's perfect place to start. I mean, it's not going to be like out of this world. I definitely think once I go to Nashville's where it might start to catch up to me a bit in terms of, yeah, you're in NASCAR because it hasn't really felt like it yet because you're
Right.
going to short tracks. Bristol kind of felt like it a bit, but I feel like once we go to Nashville, that's going to be like, okay, yeah, these 15-minute practices suck. Like,
yeah,
or they're
like this
not.
did nothing for me.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I got Martinsville and Bristol, the two spring races in the Xfinity car, then the Xfinity car, then Nashville, and then fall Bristol with the truck. And then we're looking at maybe adding Wilkesboro or Richmond. That's more of like a funding deal, like what all this comes down to. But those races I have, those four are confirmed no matter what, doing those. But I think we're looking to maybe trying to at least get to like 8 or 9 races this year is what we're looking to do, but we'll see. We just have to make it through Martinsville and
Yeah.
Bristol. We'll have a better
What
idea
you
after that.
find in that Bristol race? I remember you had a lot of big name, really huge names. Like that was a weekend with Xfinity Cup, so you had a lot of guys coming jumping in doing at least two of the races. Were you able to learn some stuff just driving around them? Because Bristol, it's a small track, so you see everyone so much during that race.
Yeah, so Bristol was tough because we were in a situation where we had to qualify in, and we made the race, but I got literally 2 minutes of practice. We blew an oil line, so like luckily we blew an oil line like immediately, so like we could fix it. And I went out there and ran. And Bristol's short, so you'd be surprised. 2 minutes you can get a decent amount of laps in, like maybe like 5 or 6. Got about
Right.
5 or 6 laps in. Um, Made the show, sent Marco Andretti home. We
Oh
Oh wow.
wow!
so that was pretty good. But come the race, we were overheating for about the first half, and we were just slow, like because those motors go to a detune mode once they get to a certain temperature. But we fixed that. We were fine. It was fun. Bristol's a lot on your body. That track's it's fun. It's a short track, but it's weird. And I mean, the first couple laps out there, you feel like you're gonna throw up. I know everyone says it and nobody probably believes it, but that place, that is the most physical racetrack in the world. I don't think anything compares. Maybe like a road course or something, but that place is crazy.
Yeah, they're so high up in the air, and I'm sure the G's on that tracker, and you're going a lot faster than what it looks. If I've never been to Bristol, but obviously, you when you watch them on stuff, so it doesn't quite look that way. But when you actually get there, you realize what the speed difference is.
Yeah, and banking too. Like it's funny because on TV, like you see there's banking, but like in the car, like through the corner, like you can't because there's so much banking. Like you can't see the whole corner. So like if there's a wreck or something, like it's not like oh, like when they say look past your hood pins when you're driving. Well, Bristol forces you to look at your hood pins. It feels like you can't look any farther ahead than like half the corner, and
Right.
yeah, no, the load on your bodies is crazy there. And it's weird because through the center of the corner, you feel like you can't breathe. So you have to remember to breathe down the straightaway.
Oh
And I
wow!
almost threw up after qualifying because it was a stressful qualifying session. So I held my breath for the whole time.
Oh wow.
It's
Yeah,
kind
we
of like
made the
Joe
show.
Gregson does.
I'm like, we made the show. We get out of the car, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. It's fun. Things happen fast, and it's definitely challenging when you're in a underfunded equipment because the leaders run every which lane, and it's very hard to get out of the way. You're gonna make someone mad no matter where you go. So
Right.
a
So
lot
it's
happens.
kind of, I mean, it's either the high line or the low line. So it's kind of like you
Yeah,
got to stick it in the middle and hope you don't go too low or too high.
yeah. I put it the first time I got lapped. I put it in the middle. I got shipped to the moon and almost whole field. But yeah, no, I learned yeah, I'd say the hardest thing about Bristol is managing um either whether if you're the leader or you're getting lapped, just lap traffic or getting lapped. That's probably the hardest thing there is just trying to figure out how to let guys by, but also not ruin your own race because you gotta it's an art to it. And really, I think it might be harder than leading the race.
All right. Which, like you say, you're going to race at Nashville later on this year. Do you think the wide variety of different tracks that you could be taking on
this season.
this season or in the future, do you think it could like help you expand and develop your way of
Yeah.
driving?
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're the only big track we got scheduled so far is Nashville. So it will definitely help. I wish we were doing a bit more, but it's just, I think we will, like I said, once we figure out some more funding and like we'll have a better idea after Bristol. But Nashville will definitely be something interesting. I think it will definitely help. I'm trying to also add road course to my schedule too, because I feel like you got to kind of like spread your skills out, learn some new things. Like it's great to be good at short tracks and stuff, but NASCAR is like 2% short tracks and like 80% mile and a half,
Yeah.
and like courses are coming in. So
Right.
yeah, so we'll see. I think Nashville is going to help, but I'm looking to do obviously some more different types of racetracks.
Are they going to give? Already got any testing opportunities open? I know they did the. I know when you first get into Xfinity car, it's going to be new, fairly new. Are there any testing opportunities? I know NASCAR's pretty limited on that
Yeah,
side.
so NASCAR doesn't allow any of it. We had Rockingham as an option to test, but I mean, the thing is, it's like when you got a budget, it's like, would I rather spend my money on a test or just go run a race?
Race.
As much as a test would help, that's a whole nother race I could run, right? If I
Right.
ran that test instead of running 4 races, I'd be running 3 races right now. So I mean, it's cool. Rockingham's cool and all that, but I mean, it just wasn't worth it to me,
You had to
honestly.
kind of weigh out your options there and see what worked
Yeah.
best
And,
for you.
and I don't think there's any more tests, but even if there was, it would probably be the same deal where it's like, well, I mean, I could go run this test or I could just go race here. So
So,
you learn the most in a race, even if you struggle a bit, but it's way more fun to go run in a race.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, obviously, what are some of your expectations for this season, and how do you see your career going in the next few years?
So I mean, expectations this year, when it comes to the Xfinity cars, obviously make the race well, I mean, it's hard to tell what our point situation will be. Out right now it's 0, but I mean, they could go ahead and go run Daytona, Atlanta, all those places and have a great run or something, and then
Right.
I'll be perfectly fine. But right now it's just to make the race, for those two things. But in the truck, I'll be in the two. So they got points. I don't really have to worry about that. Really, honestly, it's just, I mean, top 20 would be like a win. Top 25 is fine. I mean, we had top 20 speed at Lucas Oil. I just got trapped a lap down.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like so Xfinity, just make the race and then whatever happens, happens. Truck, I'm just
Yeah.
looking to have like maybe a top 25, top 20 run.
Mhm.
And you never know, you can sneak into a top 15 if they start wrecking stuff.
Yeah, and we got in like Martinsville. That's what you're used to, a short track, good old short track, and you see you get a lot of incidents in that. So that is not out of the picture right there, getting a top 25 run there.
Right, using the
Yeah, no,
bunker
definitely.
too. So
Yeah, definitely. The races I did last year, unfortunately, well, I mean, I guess fortunately, but like I always say, unless you have a winning car, you kind of want it to be chaos. Like, of
Right.
course you can miss it. Like if you're in the back, like, free positions, but they were super clean. There was like nothing ever happened. So
That
yeah,
was
it
kind of
wasn't.
different for you there, not kind of what you used to there.
Yeah, some people, I remember people telling me coming up, they're like, hey, truck series can be rough. And I'm like, I'm used to 35 lap showdowns, people wrecking each other under yellow, like crazy stuff. Over
yeah,
here, it's like, maybe a wreck or two. And like, that's why I definitely think like a place like Martinsville, if things get chaotic, I can take advantage of like those restarts and I have that experience. I like know where to put myself at a short track to like take advantage of like those massive checkups and people running into each other and stuff. Versus like Nashville, I'm just gonna be trying to learn the whole time.
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
that's a big track for you there. That's kind of like jumping into Daytona for the first time in a
Yeah.
way, because the draft can really play into perspective there compared to like to the short tracks what you've been doing.
I ran Milwaukee Mile in the ARCA car, and I mean it's a short track in
Yeah.
the corners, but down the straightaways it's a big track. But remember, there's a little bit of like air stuff, like someone puts their air on your door. Sorry, that they put their car on your door, and then the air moves you. And I remember it happened the first time, and it was like, oh yeah, this is really different. Like it's like a gust of wind, but it's their car. But yeah, Nashville's obviously a bit different than Milwaukee.
right.
So.
We find that probably I was sure to get some sim time in there, and like I say, now the sims are just as good. Nothing beats actual track time though, but it gives you a good field of what you can recognize there for the
Yeah,
track.
no, definitely. Like at least with iRacing, I mean, I did a bunch of races at Lucas Oil since I've gotten iRacing, right? And when I went out there, to be honest, I mean, it really felt almost exactly the same. Like it felt like it's funny. I've never been there a day in my life, but yeah, I felt like I've been there 50 times.
Oh wow.
Right.
What to do. And there's some tracks where iRacing gets it, and then there's some tracks where they don't get it at all. Like Milwaukee is a way old scan, so Milwaukee was nothing like in real life what it is on iRacing. But and then you got places like Bristol where like the marks, like where you lift, how you drive the car is the same. There's no way that any simulator can replicate the feeling of 4Gs on your body while you're ripping through the center of a corner at 113 miles an hour. So, but yeah, we'll see. So far, definitely iRacing's helped me. I haven't gotten into like the big deal sims yet, but we'll see.
Right. Which obviously we want to wish you the best of luck this
Yeah.
year and throughout the rest of your career and stuff. And maybe after Bristol and Martinsville, we could reconvene, do a post race interview with you and everything, and talk back again.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
Thank you
You
again.
heard the opportunity.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.